Yeah. So hope you guys are doing well. And before we start for today's topic, I have two things to discuss with you. Like first is any doubts regarding the Camunda 7 architecture, what we discussed yesterday. Specifically, Mohan, do you have any questions around it?
No, sir.
Okay. Then second thing is today I usually continue with the topic of Camunda 8 architecture. Okay. But I believe before we proceed for that, right, as you're coming from non-IT background, I wanted to change few things in the curriculum and the sequence of the activity which we learn, right? So I think it's better to have an overview about uh, the Camunda modeler specifically and the other components to get you familiar with the features which are been available and why basically these particular components have been used. So just to give an overview, what we are going to do now, right? I will take you through about a high level of understanding of the different components we have, including modeler, task, and operate. Okay. Let's maybe try to use those features by creating a very small or dummy application, okay, with at least one task. And let's do a deploy and see how it will visible into the task and operate. After that, I'll go with the Camunda 8 architecture and other, what you can say, some theoretical topics. And then moving on to the basics of Bpmn, right? Will that be okay? Or you wanted to continue the with the Camunda 8 itself? Specifically, this question is around you, Mohan, because that has been restructured considering your expertise and background you're coming from. We'll go with the screens overview and creating a dummy application today. Should I take it as yes? And my screen is visible to you?
Visible, sir.
Okay. So let's start with the introduction of the component itself. Okay. What we are going to have is the, like yesterday we discussed about the Camunda 7 architecture, right? Then specifically we have this Camunda 8, which is almost similar. Okay. But what are the changes, right? That I think we'll discuss once you have a clear understanding of the components what we have in the product. So let me go through with the components. Usually the life cycle of any project or application we develop, right? That you can divide into three main stages, which is something we design something, then we automate, and then based on the requirements, we always look for the improvements. So design phase, we have always one component which is there, right? Modeler. So how you will do the design? By creating some application with the low code standards, right? So when you come, okay. So when you do any development, right, you will be using working in a design phase, right? So there we'll use the web modeler or Camunda desktop in order to create those applications using low code functionality by using Bpmn as well as DMN standards and notation, right? That also allows us the collaborative modeling. What does the mean by collaborative modeling? We will see what are the features are there, right? But to give an idea in the layman terms, collaborative, which means you can work with the different team members, okay? Or you can work mutually along with the different project members. Maybe they are technical or maybe they are non-technical, which means you can share some, what you can say, the designs or the applications, what you have created with them to get some comments or feedback. Okay. So you can invite them to review the changes and make those comments. So first thing is about the design phase. Once we design or develop something, right, we'll go back further to automate as well as to improve the thing. So that is something which we will discuss once we are confident with the design phase. So as I said, when we do the design, we always have a modeler phase. So if you click on the left top corner, right, there is an icon. You can see the list of all the options or the what you can say, the components which are available as part of the product, which is console, modeler, task list, operate, and optimize. So in the design phase, which component we are going to use? We will be using modeler. As the name suggests, right? We will be modeling the applications with the low code standard. So you can directly click on the modeler part. What it will do, it will lend you to this particular screen where you have your username, okay? And then if in the initially, right, there will be no project, it will be blank. And this is a home screen, right? So if you want to create any new project, okay, or you want to do sorting, so the projects which has been already there, right, they will be listed here. You can click on a particular project, it will redirect you to the internal, what you can see, the artifacts of that project. So that is a blank one. If I click on this, right, it will have all the relevant, what you can say, files within that project. So project you can consider as an application. Okay. Within an application, you can have a Bpmn process, you can have some forms, you can have DMN files, right, which will interlink with each other. And in order to get a business outcome, right, they are complementing each other to get the desired outcome of that particular application, right? So project, you can think about of a folder or a placeholder, which consists of multiple files around it, right? Whenever you are working on a, excuse me, whenever you are working on a project, right, you depends upon the complexity and the requirements and the features what we want to develop in a project or application. You may end up with a multiple files, okay? Maybe more than one files as well. So all these files will be part of your project. Now, if you want to sort something, right, based on maybe when it has been changed last time, okay, who are the collaborators, which means who has participated on that particular project, right? The contributors, they will be listed here. And again, if you want to search a specific project, right, let's say if you have a lot of projects are available, then you can also do the searching with this search icon, or you can filter your records with this smart search. Again, you can sort these particular, what you can say, the projects, right? As of now, you can see the all the list which is coming, right? If you have multiple projects are there, they are coming as part of your last updated or last change date. But still, if you want to change it by some other fields, that is also possible. You can change based on the name, content, or last change again, right? So that will allow you to make the sorting. In order to create a new project, right? If you are working on a new application altogether, you can click on this particular button, which is on the right most side of the screen. As the name suggests, right? If you click on this new project, what happens? It will redirect you to create a new project altogether. So project again, what does it mean is a new application, which we will be using. Let's say you are working on a new customer, right, which has a new requirement. For that, you can use the same modeler, right, because all the developers may be using the same modeler. But again, you can create your own projects or application and you can start working on that. So once you click on that, right, on the top side, you can see you can give the name of your project as well. Let's say I'm giving a name for this as welcome project. Okay. If I click, you can see here the project name has been changed here. Again, if I want to go back to the main screen, I can click on the home screen and I will be able to see all the other projects what we have. Let me sort with the last change. So the project which has been created later set, it will be here. Again, if you want to delete something, you can see here on the left side of the project, right, where you have this icon, you can get a checkbox enabled. If you check that particular icon, right, what happens? It will have the option to perform the required action. So you can also delete that project. Once you delete the project, you will be getting a warning here that not only this project, but within that project, whatever files you have, all those artifacts, right, will be deleted. So that you should be doing mindfully whenever you are making any deletion. And once you delete, right, it cannot be undone. So it will be done full and fine. So as it was a dummy folder, right, I have gone ahead for deletion of the project. Now, let's move again to the project folder. Again, here we can see a couple of options available where if we want to create a new project, like a new file, right? So within a project, let's say we wanted to create a form or we want to create a decision table or we want to create a Bpmn file. So there is an option to create a new file. If you click over here, right, you can create a Bpmn process or DMN process or form or connector folders and other files as well. Again, you can also import an existing files as well, which means somebody has already worked on that, right? And you have a existing Bpmn process or form or DMN file that you can also import by uploading the files. Okay, you can upload those files from your system. You don't have to code again. So it is something importing the existing resources. But let's say if you want to create a new process altogether, you can click on a Bpmn diagram. Let's say we are going to start with the Bpmn flow. So again, you can see the navigation here, within whom we have a project welcome project, and then we are creating a new Bpmn process. So what is a Bpmn process? Business process modeling and notation. So you can again give the name of the process. Let's say we are giving the name as welcome process, right? It's always, you should be mindful by giving those names of the projects, applications, files within the project, right? So that it can be easily identified. Okay, it is always a good practice. So once you do that, what happens? You will be landed up to that particular screen, which majorly has four components. Okay, first is in the middle section, you can see you have a white canvas. So what does it mean is in this particular canvas, right, white background, you will be creating your particular Bpmn processes where you will use the low code standards and notation in order to create your projects. And by default, you will be having this circle. So that circle is also known as a start event. I'll not go as of now into the detail of Bpmn, right, as we are going to learn it from the scratch. But in order to start any Bpmn process, right, you have to define one start point and at least one start point and at least one end point. Okay, so which says how your process is getting triggered or initiated, and then in between you can have multiple of the Bpmn elements which you can see across here, right? These will be available. You can add them. But again, whenever you think, right, you are done with your Bpmn process, you have to again end it with an end event. So events are basically being denoted as a circles. Okay. So what you can do is, let's say we are going to have here one simple task, a user task, which we will include. Okay. And we will going to deploy it. Okay. As we are not going to learn the details about Bpmn today. So the start event, right? It has been like that. Once you click on a particular icon, the product itself will give you the options which should be the next task you want to add here. Okay, you can have this circles are known as events. You can have any gateway, and you can also have a activity. So again, we will see what all these particular elements are all about. But let's say if you want to do that, you can just click on that and you can use it. And now this is a different shape is there, right? So these are known as activities. Wherever you want to process some logic, right, in between, you can use those activity events. This again, you can click on that and you can give some name like hello world. Okay, you can double click on there and you can give the name, or you can click on a particular event or an element, and you can see on the right hand side. Okay, in the middle you will be creating your application or process, but on the right hand side you can see the properties of that particular element. So if I click on the activity, right, you can see those particular properties are there. So whatever name we have given, right, it will be mentioned here. If I want to change the name, I can also change the name by here. You can see on the runtime, it will be displayed here. And again, we can give some ID names as well, like activity. It is not mandatory to give the names of the IDs. By default, it will be generated by the system. Okay. However, it is important that we can also give some meaningful name for the IDs as well for a better understanding of our processes when we are going to what you can say troubleshoot our processes, right, technically. So usually these IDs have been generated by the system and they will be stored in their catalog tables or into the other systems as well. So if we give a meaningful name, right, it will be always better. Apart from that, what we are going to see is based on a particular activity, right, the properties will get changed. Okay. So few are optional and few are mandatory to provide. So that we will see for which type of activity we'll be having what task. Then if I click on this particular start, right, you can see the properties have been changed here, right? If you want to give some name for that particular event, you can give the name here. Again, you can also double click here and change the name or edit the name here. So there are possibility, and that is what we are going to learn throughout the sessions to get the familiarity with this product. Okay. There are multiple ways of doing that. Okay. But we need to know when to click where. Okay. And how to do this drag and drop, right? How to get these options available. And once we do it quite often during our training program side, we will get the familiarity with this product as well. Now, as I said, we have a particular start event to trigger a process. Then we have an active event, but in between you can see also we have a connecting line. So it always like in order to model your processes, right? To uh, give the direction of your process. Okay, if a particular task has been completed, what should be the next task? In order to define that, we are using sequence connectors, so which are connecting two elements in your Bpmn process. Okay, so it will always have a start point and then it will always have an end point. So end point is something which has been also been leaded with this arrowhead, dark arrowhead. Okay, so that means we are starting from this event, and then once this start activity is completed, right, it will trigger the next activity by itself by the engine. Okay, so process flow will start from this start event and it will go to the hello world activity. Any questions, guys, so far?
No, sir. Understood.
Great. So again, when we have those activities, right, we also have this hover icon, okay, where we can change type of activity. So again, this is something where let's say you have few things right along with you, and you want to replace it with one thing. Okay, let's say in a home you have a furniture, right? So furniture you can always replace with a furniture. Okay, and same thing if you have let's say some fruits with you, right? And you don't want to eat some fruit, but you have a choice to eat only a fruit. Then instead of let's say apple you wanted to eat a pear, okay, or maybe you want to eat a mango or some other fruit. So you can have an option to change a particular type of element. Okay, then we have this option of changing an activity. So there are a lot of type of activities are available. That's why the product is quite powerful. Okay, based on the requirement we can use a particular activity. So all the square or rectangle boxes with the rounded corners, right? You can think about of an activity. Will again we have not even discussed about it, right, in detail, but we have a few of the exercises to learn about those activities in detail. To have an overview, just think about this: circles are events, and rectangles, right? These are activities. What are different types of events? What are different types of activities? That is something is not part of today's curriculum. We'll be discussing later. Now, if you want to change that, okay, you have this change type icon. Now, the product itself will give you the option what type of other activity you wanted to use. Okay, so you can have a user task, you can have a service task, send task, receive task, manual task, business tool task, script task, call activity, and sub process collapse, and other connectors as well. So all these are activities. Okay, if I choose any of these icons, okay, it will be a particular activity only. So by clicking on a change type icon, right, I can only select a substitute activity in the program. Okay, not I cannot select other element, like I cannot select a event. You can see if I select this particular user talent, first one, right, this will be changed. Okay, and once it is changed, right, there is a new icon will be displayed on the left top corner. Accordingly, the properties also, right, on the right hand side will get changed a little bit here and there. So here, for if I minimize all the properties, right? If I click on again this user task, which is hello world, as it's a user task or a human task, how you can differentiate it by looking on the left top corner of the particular activity. You can see here the assignment option has come. Again, a form option has come. Okay. All these are specific to a user task because you need to assign a task to some particular user, okay, or a group of users. For a user task, you can also create a form, but that leverage will not be there if you use some other particular activity. Let's say if you want to search something, right? I want to do it for a manual task. So you can also search here itself. Okay, you want to use a service task. So you can click here, and those particular tasks which is matching with your characters, what you are typing, right, that will be displayed. Let's assume we are going to use a service task. Okay, then again, you can see the form option has been uh, gone from the right hand side, as well as the assignment option is gone, and new other properties have come like task definition. Most of the properties are common, like general documentation, input, output, headers. These will remain common across all the activities because that is uh, they are coming from a same group, right? All are activities. So few properties will remain same. However, okay, as they are specific type of activities, few additional properties will get added or deleted when we change a particular type of activity. And that's why it will define the nature and the type of that particular activity as well. So service task is usually, as name suggests, right, whenever we want to execute some custom logic in Java or in any other programming language, we can use service task as well. Any questions, guys, so far?
No, sir.
Good. So also you can see some red icons is there. The product is quite what you can say mature and user friendly as well. So if there are any issues, right, some mandatory properties you are not defining, then it will prompt you for an error right away itself. On the Hello World activity, right, you can see a red icon is coming on the left hand side, and a new person will be wondered, right, why it is being displaying such kind of alert, because red symbol symbolizes you or indicates you that something is wrong with this particular system, right? At the same time, if you click outside, right, on the canvas, so you are coming out from any particular element, right? You can see the properties of the overall BPMN process, right? What you can see here is the process related details and other things. However, if you click again on a particular element, you can see the properties right hand side, and here again you have a red icon is there. Okay, I'm hovering it. So if you click on the arrow, okay, it will toggle the section, which means it will display the other properties what we can have. So whenever you are using a service task, right, it is mandatory to define what type of service, okay, what type of definition you want to execute. Okay, there should be some Java program, right, or some custom logic you want to execute, that is known as a type. Let's say hello service. If I'll give this name, right, this service should exist somewhere, which we will discuss when we are working on a service task. Okay, that is what we will be creating a Spring Boot application where we'll be having the services as well. So how it will connect to a Spring Boot service, all these things, that is part of when we are discussing a service task altogether. Okay, but the point here is to make you understand if there are any what you can say compilation errors. What are the compilation errors? Which is like predefined rules, okay, as part of your any programming, you make any errors in that, right, then you don't have to compile something, it will give you an exception details upfront itself. Okay, you don't have to wait for that. Now again, you can change it to some other particular task as well. Let's say we have a user task. Now after that, let's say somebody wants to give some comments on that particular task, right? Like you are using some user task, okay? You are creating a user task and you want to give some comments why you have used it, okay? You can also give a comment here, or maybe you can click on a comment icon here as well, okay? What happens is when you give a comment, you can give a comment for a particular element, also for an overall process as well, okay? If I click on the process, then it will be a process specific comment. So comment will give you an additional information if somebody else is going to see your process, right? And you want to describe additional details why you have used this particular element in your process. What is the purpose of that? So let me say, I will give a comment, added user task for the testing purpose. I can give any relevant comment and I click on enter. What happens? That comment will be added with who has entered that particular comment, because I'm already logged in, right? So it will be displayed you. If somebody else has given a comment and you log in with your system, it will display the name of the contributor or the user who has provided that comment. When that particular comment has been provided, that will be also there, and what was the comment, that will be displayed. Okay, so comment, you can think about of having a collaboration about with the different users in order to like give more descriptive details about your product. Also, if you have any questions, right, maybe you want to get some feedback around it, how you can improve all these things, right, you can add as a comment. Somebody else who is a reviewer, right, can look into those comments even if you are not available, and they can provide their feedback as part of comment again. So comment is something a very useful feature when you are working with different team members, okay, and you want to use a collaborative approach. Again, if I click on the start button, right, you can go to the comment section and see there is no comments. If I click on the canvas again, and if I want to see the comment, there is no comment. Properties are there, changed based on the process. If I click on this is the start event. You can see if you're not aware about any particular event as well, on the top side, you can get the details. Okay, what type of element it is. So if I click on a circle, it is displaying me it's a start event. And if I click on the comment, there is no comments at all. But again, if I'll go to the user task, it will give me the details, what type of task it is, what is the name we have given for that task, okay, and comments if somebody has given the comment. So that's how you can use those particular features as well in order to give some comment. After that, again, I can, I just wanted to end this application. I can use an and event. You can, if you click on any particular or hover your mouse icon on a particular element, it will give you the details also about that particular process. So if I hover it to the gateway, it will diamond shape, right? It is telling me it is a gateway. If I hover this on a particular rectangle shape, it will tell me it is a task. So I just wanted to finish the process. I can simply select this and make it finish. So there is a start, both are events because both are circles, this one and that one. But one is a start event, one is an end event. You will get to know about the differences. Okay. As of now, if you are able to recognize it as an event, that will be more than enough. Okay. However, if what you can say, want to get more details about that, there is a different minor difference between the boundary of those circles, right? One is thin and other one is a thick. So the lighter one will always be known as a start event, and the darker one, right? They are known as the end event, which means we are starting a process and we are completing a process. These are defined as the boundaries of your Bpmn process. Okay. And you cannot have any process without a start or end event. These are compulsory to have those events, right? And whenever you have any comments, right, into any of the activity, those will be always displayed. If I click on the outside, right, you can see on a start and let's say I'll give some name here, and event, okay. There will be no comment icons will be popping up, right, until I'm not going to hover on that particular icon. Then obviously it will be popping up. But as an end user, you won't be knowing, right, on which particular element somebody has given comments or additional remarks. So in order to give a clear view, right, if you have given any comments to any particular task, it will be displayed with this particular icon. I can click on that directly and I can see the details. I don't even have to redirect, like click over here and go to the comment. Directly, simply, I can click on a comment action and I can see the details. So that's how easy the navigation is. And one more thing is, always when you are doing something, right, you don't have to save. Okay. That particular model will be auto saved, and you can see the icon here, right? Auto saved at what time. So that is a beauty part. You just have to continue your work. Okay. And then whatever work you are saving, it is getting auto saved by the modeler engine itself. Apart from that, if you go to the lower bottom side, right, you can also see some icons. Okay. If you want to like maximize the screen, you can click on that. Okay. If you want to make your screen bigger for doing some development, right, and you want to focus more on the uh, center part or on that particular screen itself, you can maximize it and you can minimize as well. Again, you can toggle something. You can reset the viewpoints if you want to uh, have some specific right viewpoint to be focused on a particular element. You can do that. And again, you can zoom out and zoom in to minimize or maximize up to an extent. And with the with this site, you can also hover to the you can reset your view as well. So this minimize and maximize will be really helpful when you are having complex or bigger processes right there. and you want to see the details, right, as a whole on one screen, then you can use those particular icons as well. Apart from that, on the left hand side, so we have discussed about the center part, which is the canvas. Okay. Then we also see that whenever we click on a particular item, right, the properties will get changed accordingly. Few are optional properties, okay, and general properties, and few are mandatory, depends upon element to element, which type of element we are seeing. But most likely, if you are not aware of that particular element, it will tell you what is that event name and what name you have given. So in the general tab, always you give some name, right? And ID is something, an ID which has been generated by the system. It is, you cannot leave it as blank. But again, it's a leverage if you want to give the name of the event like IDs as well with some meaningful name, then it will be good. And yeah, left hand side, like if I just delete this, okay, I want to drag and drop from here. That also is possible. Okay, you can drag and drop from there, and you can also have a sequence connector to be connected from there. So again, it has an option. Either you can directly hover on an icon and choose a particular system. If not, right, you can also have a drag and drop from the left hand, which is left hand side window, which is also known as component palette. Palette is something which is having the collection of all the elements. So based on your comfort, right, based on your like frequent activities, how comfortable of you, right, in order to select those elements when you are starting development, there are multiple ways of doing that. You can choose either of the option. Again, you can directly double click on that particular icon and you can give the name, or you can click on a particular icon and you can go here and give the name, right? So that is more about a particular how you can create any simple process. Okay. Apart from that, if there are any errors are there, right, associated with your particular modeling, you can see the details here. As of now, there are no errors, right? So you can see already it has been green and the problem count is mentioned as a 0, which means our process, what we have designed, right, as of now, it is error free, and it is good to go for any deployment if we wanted to go for a deployment. However, if we make some errors, right, let's say I want to delete something, again, I can click on that particular element and I can go for delete. Now, if you see whether on a very high level, do you think this particular Bpmn process is the right process, or it has any issues if I'll go for a deployment? Mohan, question is from you.
No, sir.
It doesn't have any error.
It's a line. Arrow, sir.
Yes, the arrow is missing, right? As I told you, right? Whenever we have any element on the canvas, right? When we are defining, they should be connected by the arrows, which is also known as sequence flow. Okay. So these arrows are known as sequence flow. Again, there are different types of sequence flow, but most commonly 90 to 95% times, right? These sequence connectors will be used. As the name suggests, it is a connector which defines you the sequence. What sequence? The sequence of execution of the elements. Which elements? The elements which you have used in your project. Okay. As of now, I know when I'm starting a process, right? Engine will know, okay, I'll be triggering a process. Once I have triggered the process, my next task is to complete the activity, which is a kind of a user activity. So the flow will move to that particular activity. It will wait. Okay. Normally, there are user tasks and there are system tasks. Okay. Let's talk about a user task. So when it will reach to that particular task or activity, system will stay this for the indefinite period of time. Okay. Which means you'll not be able to proceed further until and unless a particular user who is assigned for that particular task, right, will not be completing this task. Okay. Maybe that user may complete this task within a minute or within an hour or within a day, or maybe he or she who is responsible to complete this particular task, right, will not be completing this for an year as well. In that scenario, the flow will stuck on that particular activity. Okay. That's why we are using user tasks. However, if there are other tasks like service task or any system task, as the name suggests, right, that will be handled by the system itself. You will be having some program, some logic to be completed by the system. Okay. That's where we are differentiating the task or activities into two categories. Either it could be user, it could be system. As of now, we have used the user task. So when a process is triggered, it will move to a particular user task and it will keep waiting until it has been uh, completed by a particular user who is supposed to complete this based on the group assignment or role assignment. After that, let's say user has logged in. Okay, where he will log in? He will be logged into the task list. Okay, we will see that now. So he can log in, he can pick the task, and he can complete this. Once it's complete, what happens? Where the flow has to go? There is no sequence connector in this particular flow, right? That's why
Yes,
if you
sir.
click on the problem section, it will say this element, right? Again, you can see event underscore 00959RQ, right? Some name it is given because we have not given the ID name with the meaningful name. That's why I emphasize it is not mandatory to give the names for the IDs, but it's a good practice always to give some meaningful name. Okay. So it will, whenever you are seeing the technical problems, it will always, the system will always talk you through with the technical IDs, okay? Technical fields, which is IDs, not the names. Names are for the display to the end users, right? What business users will see. But when you are doing any troubleshooting technically, right, it will be used as IDs. So, and even, right, what it is says element is not connected, right? It should have been connected. Otherwise, it is not compliant to go for the deployment. What we can do is we can select a arrow, okay, or a sequence connector, and we can drag it until we'll reach to the next element where we want to connect this. Okay. Once I do that, right, I can leave it. So here you can see, right, green symbols will be there on the both sides, which means they are connected perfectly. Okay. There is no issues with the connection. So we are starting again from the user task and we are going to the end event, which means if you see here, right, notice there's no problem found. Now we don't have any issues with the particular element. Again, so this is more about when you create any processes. Okay. It is not an actual application, but yeah, it's just a demonstrator how the features you can use when you are working in day out of your development activities. Now, apart from that, if you go and see right here, the welcome process name. What is the welcome process? The process name what you have created. If you want to go back to your project, in your project, right, only we have one this Bpmn diagram, right? Now, you can also do few actions with that. You can delete that. You can share them. Okay. If you click on share, it will, I think we discussed on the last session. I'll not repeat it again. The point is you can share those particular files with other users as well in your organization. You can create some link or you can like copy the link or you can directly send emails as well. And also you can add some credentials as well if you want to make it more secure. Okay. So if you make it password protected, you have to share the credentials as well. You can add new users as well. to your project, okay, as a collaborators who all you wanted to give the rights to work on that particular project. If you have multiple files, again, you can search them. As of now, we have just one file, so that is not required to have search. And again, you can do the sorting on the different fields, like we have done the sorting and search at the project level, right? Same icons you can see within the project as well. So we have this welcome project. Within that welcome project, we have this welcome process, a Bpmn diagram, right? And if you want to create any new file as well, right, you can create again from here. You can create a folder, you can create a new form, BMN diagram, or any additional BPM diagram as well, or you can import same. All the features are still available. So whatever you do with that, it will be part of your existing process of welcome project. Okay, that will be there. And if you want, if you have created any project, right, or file mistakenly into a project, you can also have a leverage to move them. Okay, you can create a new folder as well where you want to keep some files. You can also do that. Now let's open that particular process again. What other features you can have, right? Once you click on a process, you can create the milestone. So milestone, as the name suggests, right? Milestone is something where you achieve something. Okay, like you have been asked to create an application. Okay, this application might have 4 or 5 features, right, included in that, but you are planning to deliver one feature at a time. Okay, so you create one feature, okay, and then you can deploy it. Let's say you have a banking application. Okay, in banking application, you wanted to add 3 features like onboarding of a client, right? Once onboarding is done, then you next feature, you wanted to do account management of that particular client, where he or she can do the transactions, and then closure of account. These are the 3 features, right, you wanted to develop. So once you are done with the onboarding or opening of a client, which may consist again many things like review of the details of customer, KYC of the customer, XYZ. But again, we'll see it as one feature of onboarding. So you can develop that, you can test that, and then you can create a milestone. So milestone is the major features or deliveries, right, you have in a particular project, right? We can say milestone to create a test project for learning. Okay, I can create that milestone. So once I create a milestone, what is the point of creating those milestones? Okay, the point here is whenever you create a milestone, you can see the details of your milestone in a particular project. As of now, we just have one milestone, right? So in future, if we are making changes to the existing, it is also, you can treat it as one of the, what you can say, uh, project which has been having the perfect situation or case where it has been developed, tested, and deployed into a production scenario, or you have something which has been fully tested. Okay, so let's say when you are making more changes to that particular project, okay, if you develop additional feature, what you can go, you can create another milestone. Okay, so it will be listed here. Let's say after that, I wanted to create another task here, right? I have a requirement where I wanted to have another task, right? So this is a dummy task for teacher 2, right? I have created it and I have saved it. Now I think I wanted to go for another deployment now, right? So what I can do is I can create another milestone here and I can give some description, added a new task, right? So a new milestone has been created. So which means if I'll go and see the history of the milestones, right, it will be displayed here. So now if I click on that, this is my first milestone where my process is like that. If I have done any changes after that, right, and I have created a new milestone, I can see the details on a latest basis, right, on the top of that. It also give you the details when it has been created and by whom it has been created. Now you can see here, it also give you the differentiation between the two particular milestones. So my first milestone is like that. After that, what changes have been done, they will be highlighted in this way. Okay. What has been changed, it has been displayed as a yellow color, and what has been added newly, right, it will be displayed as a green color, which means you can clearly visualize this, what additional changes you have done. Okay. Over the past period of time, right, maybe you have done a lot of changes and will not be able to track it. But let's say due to some reason that particular new release, right, it's not working. Okay. And then what you have to do is usually you'll go and delete those particular additional things or whatever changes you have done additionally, right? You'll do the undone of those particular tasks. Instead of doing that, right, we have an option to restore that particular milestone, right, as a latest. You can add it even if you have given some name, right? You can edit the name of those milestones later. And then you can also delete that if you don't want it further. Okay. Let's say you're creating some milestones on very frequent basis in order to have like multiple features that within features you are also are doing few tasks on daily basis or hourly basis. And in order to save your work, you are making multiple milestones. But now with the time, right, you have tested some features, you don't want them. You can also delete them. Again, the main advantage is when you have some errors or exception and you want to restore, right, the previous one, then you can restore it as a latest as well. What happens? A new milestone has been created by the system itself. And if you see, right, the additional task what we have created, right, it has been removed to the from the latest version. So milestones are very good and helping feature for the developers. Okay. When they wanted to see and compare the changes, what they have done over the like last few days or weeks or months as part of their development life cycle. And also if there are any issues or exceptions or errors are there, right, they wanted to roll back them to the previous stages, they can use the milestones. Apart from that, you can also edit them. Okay, you can replace them, you can duplicate, which means you can make the same copy of your, like you have created already a process, right, which you want to reuse, okay, for a new development, where you find out like it has already 10 of the elements, out of them 7 or 8 I'm all going to use it as is, but there will be some changes into the 3 or 4 tasks. So instead of doing the rework from the scratch, you can duplicate them, you can give some name. Okay, which means you can duplicate them, you can give some name, and then you can start making the changes into that particular process. So you can see here, right, a copy has been created. I can also edit the name of that particular. So if I'll go here, right, you can see the two processes are there. So which means I have duplicated something, which means if I see I wanted to use the same model, right, for my additional changes, which I have to do, then instead of doing the re-engineering again, right, you can use the duplicate feature as well. But again, if you want to delete them, you can select that particular item and you can also delete that. Again, if I'll go to the process, the other options, what you can see here are quite common. You can delete from there as well. You can duplicate. We have discussed all these processes. The key features here is like you can also see the 3 tabs over here. In the implementation phase, it is meant for the developers where you can see the properties as well of a particular element. You can go and change the elements or the properties of a particular BPM element. But if you don't want to use that, you just wanted to use for the non-technical users, you can only see the high level details of a particular process. Okay, you'll not be able to see the properties or the technical details. And even if you want to minimize that, right, you can click on the details option, it will minimize. So you have more canvas to see your processes as well. Just click on that, you can minimize or maximize the details options as well as and when required. Apart from that, you have a play option. play option is similar to we have a design for non-technical users. Then we have a implement phase where you create your models and assign the properties as well based on the type of element you are using. And then you have a play third feature is there, which has been recently introduced in the Camunda. It will be used for debugging of your processes. So even before deploying, right, if you want to test something, you can test them. So once we do that, right, already a process has been instantiated and then it is pending for your user task. As I said, right, until somebody is not going to take an action externally, it won't proceed further, right? But in the debugging phase, you don't have to do it on a real-time basis. Just as a developer, right, you wanted to test your flow, whether it is been working fine or not. You have an option to complete. Okay. If I click on that, my process has been completed and it has moved to the next state, what is been desired. So it has reached to the end state as well. Now, other details, right? If there are any variables are associated, we have not created any variables, right? And we have not added any like other details like timers or other events or sub processes. But if you have any such particular elements are included, right? You can see the details on the bottom here. So as of now, we just have a one user task. It can give you the key of that particular user task, who was assigned for that, what is the name of that user task, and what is the current state. As it has been completed, right, it will mention as a completed. You can also roll back a particular stage as well if you want. Then you can see it is now active now. Okay, and you can also complete from here as well. Multiple options are there. Then it is like play option is something where you wanted to just check your models, right, before deployment, whether they are working fine or not. Okay, just for internal testing before deployment. And the other history, when what particular action has been taken, right, at a start time and end time, everything will be listed there. That is why companies are investing on the Bpmn products as well. You don't have to code anything. Okay, all the minute details, right? Everything, like even from start till this activity, we have completed 3 tasks. We have initiated this, then the sequence connector is completed, and then user task has been initiated. So all these activities, when it is started, when it is completed, the minute details also will be captured by the engine. So I think we are reached to today's time where we can stop today's learning. Okay, but again, there are few minor things which has been pending, how to deploy and how to run. Okay, these things maybe we can discuss in next sessions as well. But before I'll stop and disconnect today, right, guys, if you have any questions, please unmute yourself and ask your queries. And if not, then we can connect again later tomorrow. Any questions, Naga or Mohan?
I'm fine. People. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So I'll take it as no. And with that, I'll stop